Hello and welcome to the Easy Allies podcast. I'm your moderator, Brandon Jones, and joining me this week, panelists Michael Damiani.
How's it going?
Brad Ellis.
Yo!
My Nomad creating co-moderator, Daniel Bloodworth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you were saying maybe. It was either Nomad or Street Kid. You're not going Corpo on me, are you?
Oh, okay.
I'm Corpo with you.
I wasn't sure what you were talking about.
We're Corpo boys.
Not sure what I'm talking about. It's days away, man. A couple weeks. Cyberpunk
Days.
2077 is what we're referring to. Distinguished guests, we are here to discuss some of the biggest headlines in the world of video games. But before we do that, we must atone for all of the mistakes that we made last week. Daniel Bloodworth, please begin corrections music. Boop. There's a rumor id Software is going to work with 343 on Halo. There's like a rumor. Somebody was like, I can't believe they didn't talk about it in the comments. And I looked it up, and like 4 people barely reported on it. One was like a forum post. It was just like some yeah. So that's the thing. Some Golden Axe Beast Rider launched on PS3 and Xbox 360 on October 14th and October 17th, respectively, in the year 2008. So people were saying we said that didn't come out in the US, but we reviewed that at Game Trailers. So not sure if we actually said that. I don't think we did. A cherry blossom viewing picnic is called a hanami in Japan. It's a very popular ritual where whole families sit under a cherry tree during full bloom in the spring. I love it even more. Armor of Heroes doesn't seem to have been developed by Relic Entertainment. According to the Steam page, it was developed by the Eccentric Ape and Sega. Relic's social media and website don't mention Armor of Heroes either. But that was from the list that they posted. Although DMC 5 Special Edition is launching with on this Xbox Series XS, it'll lack many next-gen features like ray tracing. These will be added next year, but will be included in the PS5 version at launch. So that is a cautionary tale for Ben Moore. I will make sure to message him that, because that's 2 days early on that system, but apparently you're also getting some features absent as well. Bright Memory Infinite was shown off during the Xbox event. Bright Memory 1.0 is what's currently out on Steam. The creator has described Bright Memory 1.0 as a demo or precursor, because Bright Memory 1.0 was in those 31 games that'll be on Xbox. That Prince of Persia video that I mentioned was a target render used to pitch it, meaning it was never actually playable. That makes a lot of sense because that thing looked incredible for the gen that they were pitching that for. Tourist is apparently already on Xbox Game Pass. Xbox is just saying it's getting an optimized version also in that launch lineup. And Dundee is in Scotland, not Australia, which isn't a correction because I didn't say it was not in Scotland, nor did I say it was in Australia. I just said Dundee the way it's supposed to be said. So who knows what, kudos to this team. Best of luck, Rockstar Dundee, getting together and making video games together. Whenever it comes back around, I'll be sure to mention that you were in Scotland in case there's anything confusing, but I'm not saying Dundee any other way than that. And corrections music, please. I don't know what. Insinuating. I would like a silver lining. There's a lot of things that are going not perfectly in the world, and I'd like to know things that are happy, things that people can look forward to, things that are a sign that everything is going to be okay. Some stranger would like to remind us that Gabe Newell has the potential solution for dealing with production loss due to the coronavirus. Move developers to New Zealand.
I've heard a little about this, but I don't know the details.
Sounds easy.
Which is, they pulled it off. I mean, this is a solution for everybody. A solution for the... Just let's go to New Zealand, and at the end of the year, New Zealand's just going to lift off and fly into space. This would be a massive boon for the country and is a great way to get teams to be able to work together in the same office. Also, New Zealand, which is very beautiful. But
Must be nice.
Yeah, must be nice. Yeah, we'll see. I don't think we're at New Zealand stage with Easy Allies, but we'll see the way 2020 goes. Maybe next year. I don't have Huber on hand, but I got you, Brad. Brad, you like those NPDs, don't you, Brad?
I sure do.
Damiani, NPDs, you excited? We're going to talk about some specific numbers. All of these are physical sales for video games in the month that was September 2020. So
second to last one.
Too?
They do not have digital, physical only.
Oh.
He reconfirmed that actually in a reply to someone, because they were... He being Matt Piscatella, our buddy, the Grand Lord, as we established the last time we talked about NPDs. Nobody... The buck stops with him, man. Nobody else works at the company. Nobody else does anything else. It is all that all the time. And it's interesting because this is great news. Sales are absolutely incredible right now for video games, but this is kind of like a a broken record. Like, this is a repetitive story every year. We keep breaking these new records per other years because everybody's buying video games. Everybody's checking in on digital media across all fronts. Consumer spending across video game hardware, content, and accessories reached $4.3 billion in September 2020, 10% higher than a year ago. So people are spending. Mobile hardware and accessories were among the largest growth segments. Year-to-date spending totaled $33.7 billion, 21% higher than the same period in 2019. Bled, is this trend just going to keep on rocking? Are we going to see a dip? We're going to the holiday season. We're breaking records, and we haven't even started. Are people buying Christmas presents? I haven't bought any yet.
I think some people are, but yeah, I mean, it's just part of this year. Lots of video games being bought this year, so it'll be curious to see. Yeah, it'll be curious to see how people react when like things get quote unquote normal and people are spending money on basketball tickets and all of that kind of stuff again. So
you got some basketball games you want to go to, Bled?
Yeah, what's up?
You got some basketball games you want to go to?
Not really, but I'm just thinking.
It's over.
That's the things that are.
That's a very specific call out there to the.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah. But yeah, and hardware too. I mean, we can get into specific hardware later, but the Switch, obviously, Damiani, doing incredible. Do you think that I've seen some people speculate that the Switch is going to sell more, or just perform better in general than either the Xbox Series X or S or either the PlayStation 5s?
I mean, yeah, didn't it just miss setting a record or something like that, like highest something. I don't know, but it's still, this whole year has just been really good for Nintendo and Switch hardware. I don't think next gen's really going to impact it. I mean, we're 2 NPD reports away from the first next gen NPD report, which will be kind of fun to see what that's going to show number wise. I think Nintendo is going to be fine. I mean, they showed what's coming out for the next few months for their lineup. We got Pikmin this month, so we'll see how that does next month with the NPD report. We got Hyrule Warriors that will probably drive some sales, and then they'll probably talk about the future at some point. This has been like their MO all year. It's just like very short-term announcements for stuff like that. But the hardware itself, I don't think it's gonna be that affected by next gen, honestly. And it will be. I don't think they're gonna slow down anytime soon.
September 2020 video game hardware spending increased 15%. Again, just everything else is gravy versus year to date at $277 million. Growth in sales of Nintendo Switch offset declines on other console platforms. Picking up the slack, Nintendo Switch was the best-selling console during September in both dollars and units. And year-to-date spending on hardware has increased 22% when compared to a year ago to $2.3 billion. 22%. People are happy. What was the number one game for the month of September?
Avengers.
Oh,
right?
Buzzkill, man. Do you just?
Is it? It has to be, right?
Marvel Avengers was the best-selling title of September.
Yeah, it has to be.
Nailing it. Nailed it.
Launch month dollar sales of Marvel's Avengers were the second highest for any superhero game in U.S. history, trailing only Marvel's Spider-Man. Marvel's Avengers debuted as the number 7 best-selling game of the 2020 year-to-date. So 2020 to now, which is most of 2020. We don't have much of it left. Marvel's Avengers did very, very well. As someone who played and tolerated for as long as he possibly could Marvel's Avengers, how do you feel about this? Is it a licensed thing and it's that, Spider-Man kind of paved the way for Avengers? What's up with these sales, Brad?
I think Batman paved the way for all of this. Batman kind of brought superhero games back. Of course, Spider-Man elevated it too, but yeah. Avengers is the biggest superhero IP probably right now, next to maybe Batman. Of course it's going to sell, baby. It's got the name on it. It's good enough so people will recommend it. It may not be the best game, but it's good enough for a lot of people.
Blood, I'm not sure what metric to gauge the success of Avengers by, because I saw some people that were like, oh, there's not a lot of people queuing, there's not a lot of people watching it on Twitch, but like, it just doesn't seem kind of like that game. It's like, this is just a silly arcadey, action game that you just run through and beat up robots. Like, that's why I've been, playing it a bunch. But with no one's going to be buying DLC for this. Nobody's buying extra characters because it's just the starter price, and then you get everything else for free. So how do we know if Avengers is doing well? Seems like something they want to support for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, they'll know it's doing well because people are still in there. I mean, they're going to be. You'd say they're not going to be buying things. They're getting people to buy plenty of things.
You don't have to buy things, I guess. And I'm
Yeah.
always a microtransaction apologist. That's just,
But yeah, so I think the activity and the amount of purchasing and all of that's ongoing, that's going to be their metric for success, and obviously when you have that many people that have copies of the game, anything that you can do to get somebody to say, hey, the new patch came out and it's, fixed this and that, and the new character is really great and all of that, then yeah, you get all these people back in, and then those people, some percentage of them is going to be spending more money on, upgrade paths and stuff. So
that's my hope. I'm digging Avengers. I don't need it. I'm not gonna, argue. I'm not gonna stand up even for sevens. I was like, oh, maybe it'll get best sevens. I think on Metacritic it's like 6.8 or something. It almost made it, but I'm not gonna be arguing Avengers for any group streams or anything. I'm just gonna be over in the corner playing my Avengers and having an okay time. But I do want it to be successful. I want to get as many characters out of this thing as I can. I don't want to be having like Disney Infinity nightmares where I only get 2 years with this thing and it's over.
I'm unfamiliar with their roadmap or their idea of this game, but I cannot see them making this game and wanting to go for like 5 years. I bet they're hoping to get a year or two out of this game. Then they'll do a sequel. That's what I think they'll do.
Sure.
They ain't going Destiny route or anything like that. They're gonna make another one, dude. Especially now.
Thanos. Sure. Well, I mean, make another one if it's the best-selling game of the month and the 7th best-selling game of the year. Michael Damiani, what was number 2?
Ooh.
Why would I be calling on Michael Damiani?
You're asking because I wonder if you call him maybe because you think it's a Nintendo game.
Do I think it's a Nintendo game?
I'll
let you know, and then you ask. You tell me if it's a Nintendo game. I'm pretty sure it's a Nintendo game.
Yeah, I'm blanking right now. One thing I've been like got a bit following like sales stuff. I remember something about like seeing Ring Fit like shoot up like really high at some point, but I don't think it made it up to number 2.
I have a guess.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
3D All-Stars?
Hell yeah.
Yes!
And I remember Nintendo.
Oh gosh.
I remember them pounding their chest a
Yes.
little bit about this.
I knew it.
Second best-selling game of September at the number 10 best-selling game of year-to-date 2020. So again, two things jumping into the top 10 just now, and we have November ahead of us.
Can't deny Mario.
So pretty big year, all things considered. Things look kind of bleak a little bit at the beginning of the year in terms of like how all this stuff would pan out, but people are hungry. Super Mario 3D All-Stars generated the second highest launch month physical dollar sales of any 2020 release, trailing only Animal Crossing New Horizons. Switch doing very well.
Wow.
Super Mario 3D All-Stars launch month physical dollar sales rank is the 6th biggest for a Nintendo published title in U.S. history.
Whoa.
What?
Whoa.
Wow. Holy shit. 2020 is insane.
Just
Wow.
yeah.
For like
good video game.
a shoddy kind of to decent port.
Or are
it's,
these
pretty nuts.
just the easiest purchasing decisions ever because people are like, I'm doing this for myself.
Well, yeah. I bought that because I wanted to play them, and it's like, oh, they're only available for a limited time, so I had to buy it immediately.
Well, there's that too. I mean, that's a whole nother.
It shows Nintendo knows how to make consumers hunger for nostalgia when they package it the correct way. I think they learned their lessons from NES and Super Nintendo Classic, and they took those lessons, and I think that's why we're getting the approach they're doing now, starting with Super Mario 3D All-Stars, where virtual consoles like that's too much, too broad of a catalog. It becomes dull and boring. It's not exciting for enough people. When we do it this way, look how much sales. Like I bet I would be interested to see if like Super Mario 3D All-Stars revenue it generates in its lifetime blows away all of like virtual consoles like lifetime revenue or something like that. And there's like there's your answer. We'll never tell you that, but here's the answer. Like when we make something seem like it's when we drive up supply demand for this by threatening a limited supply, this is what happens.
True. Just give me Zelda, cowards. Messing around.
We're gonna go through this again next year. There'll be a limited availability Zelda thing. Probably same thing again.
More than 3, please.
So are you sad, Damiani, that this was set up the way
I
it
just
was?
don't like them getting rewarded. this was the lowest effort thing I've seen them do in a long time, and it getting. I mean, the reviews for it was an 80 Metacritic, and those are like 3 of the best games ever made. And the common criticism was that this is low effort, and I don't think they should be let off the hook for that, especially when I'm seeing fan communities put together that Unreal Engine ground up Mario PC port that uses no source code or anything, so Nintendo can't touch it yet, and it looks fantastic, and they're doing all this creative stuff with it, and there's like that special Nintendo spark about we could do something that like elevate this, make this even better than you remember. Just put like the quality of life, even the Fire Emblem. I know we haven't gotten this, jumping ahead to like a headline here, but the Fire Emblem announcement for December. Going through that video, they showed rewind features, bookmarks, adding all this extra functionality to the game. We got a soundtrack. We got a soundtrack for the Mario games. And that's really it. And some small reworks here, and a few of the textures, like the Boo poster was up-res, but some of the other textures weren't. It didn't make me very happy. I don't like.
I'm still mad about No Galaxy 2.
Yeah,
I'm
No
still
Galaxy
mad
2.
about that.
That's like probably the biggest thing is they just didn't even include that.
I mean, what if who is this person? What at Nintendo that they go to and they're like, "Do we need this?" And the person's like, "You don't need it." They're like, "Are you sure? Galaxy 2, we don't need it." And it's like, "You won't need it." And like, look at these sales numbers. I told you you didn't need it. Yeah, but this one guy R&D is working on this really cool rewind feature, this really cool thing that lets you remix levels and say, like, "You don't need it.
Yeah.
You're wasting your time." Because I don't know. When you see something like this happen, it's like, no, not the kind of influence you want in terms of budgeting decisions. But they that's Nintendo
business,
style.
Baby.
Well, that's Nintendo, though. I think more than anything.
Nintendo business.
When you get frustrated by these things.
All the time.
Because the feedback I've been seeing for Mario Kart Home Circuit has been nothing but smiles. Everyone's driving around freaking out their cats. It's just like we're angry at Nintendo for one thing, and then they're totally justified for making some other weird decision. And also on social media, I'm seeing people replaying those games and loving them a lot. Madden NFL 21.
Sorry, that's a good point.
Oh, but it's the nostalgia. It's just there's nothing you can do. These are untouchable.
The best thing about it is, from people who never had a chance to play these, this is the best thing I could say about it, is that it makes it more easily available to people, because not everyone had a chance to experience these when they came out or in any time in the past. So that's a very positive thing.
Effortlessly transitioning into Madden NFL 21 at number 3, which only dropped from number 1, which again is another 2020 story that a lot of I hear this from Michael Huber, who was on the podcast previously, that a lot of people are very frustrated at the current release of Madden, but bought the hell out of it anyway. Broke all sorts of records. Yeah.
I just want to play.
Another happy story that is a bit of an echo from conversations we've had in the past on the podcast. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, the 4th best-selling game of September.
Very nice.
I was figuring that would be up there.
The release achieved the highest launch month dollar sales of any title in Tony Hawk franchise history, surpassing Tony Hawk's Underground 2, which originally launched in October of 2004. I like all these October comparisons. It's fun to think of 16 years ago, breaking those sales. Number 5 is something that we're going to talk about later in this podcast. Any idea? Number 5.
Number 5. Oh, is it
NBA
like
2K?
Basketball.
Oh, the biggest basketball fan on the podcast, Daniel Bloodworth, nailing it with NBA 2K21. Maybe we can jump ahead. Did you hear about
those tickets?
Ads in the new game?
Oh yeah. I
didn't know the story. No,
I didn't know this was a thing.
Get ready. Are you gonna get into it?
I mean, no, not specifically as a headline, just because it's
okay.
It's just funny. They brought them back.
I mean, yeah, it's
speaking of it,
it's cruel to say it's funny, because I think it's hilarious not having played that. Not necessarily hilarious that people who want to enjoy a quality video game are being interrupted by advertising. That is slightly funny in its own way.
Like, how are they placed?
But hilarious that there's unskippable. I think when you load into the game, it's just like, oh yeah, here, watch an ad. Or in between modes and stuff. It's not going to stop the game.
It's not going to work on next gen.
We'll see.
You can't put no ad on no loading screen, because
you can't put no ad on no loading screen.
Oh, but
they
now
can put it in like the main menu, though.
The ad screens now.
They'll get more creative.
This is a forced ad screen that you cannot skip. Get ready for those.
Oh shit.
But speaking to that, just so people know, if you're seeing like a bunch of, like, if you see like a crazy amount of ads on our videos, just leave a comment. YouTube's been sneaking in that mid-roll checkbox And so there's been like some
Yeah.
videos that like I was like, I got 18 ads on this video. I'm like, well, you shouldn't have. Let me
Sneaky.
uncheck that dumb box.
Sneaky YouTube.
Sneaky
Yeah,
mid-roll
sneaky
alert.
YouTube.
Even though I try to keep on top of it, they still sneak it in there.
Number 6, previously number 3, another heavy hitter. If you got NBA
Call of
2K,
Duty?
yeah, if you got NBA 2K, you can get that one.
Call of Duty.
What's number 7? What's number 7?
Mario
I got-
Kart.
I got
Animal
another
Crossing.
Nope, I got a note from Piscatella here because this is another feel-good story. It's kind of like Tony Hawk. It's another like
Oh.
a win-win-win for this series.
Crash Bandicoot. No, that's too. We're not there. yet.
Reviewed
Yeah.
really well, exceptionally well. Reviewed just ding 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 across the board.
It's
So
Ori?
we didn't review it because it would take a ridiculous amount of time to review this game, an insane amount of time. This is something that somebody takes off like a weekend to finish this crazy thing.
Oh.
Only on
why can't I
PC, I
think-
believe.
Crusader Kings 3?
Crusader Kings 3, number
Ah,
7
Oh, shit.
nice
on the
pull.
NPD. The
Wow.
7th best-selling game of September with just 1 month of sales. Crusader Kings 3 ranks as the best-selling release in franchise history. Whenever I say the word history,
Nice.
when we talk about NPDs, it's always so
History-
it's
making
such
history.
gravitas.
Yeah,
I love
history
it.
setting episode. Nice.
In history. It was always, it's like when we do retrospectives, but you can't say in history too many times. You gotta reword it because it's like when you hit that, like Ken Burns style, it's gotta. The title also experienced the highest launch month dollar sales of any title published by Paradox Interactive.
Ooh.
Nice.
So they're having a good time.
Good for them. Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes me think of something else. Like, there's clearly like a cutoff between people that had their stuff together that they knew they were going to launch in 2020 that are just blowing up beyond their wildest imagination. Things like Among Us, which I just learned like today has been out for like 2 years. It was
Yeah.
in early access
Yeah.
for a long time.
Yeah.
Apologies to people. I got a couple corrections just that way where they were like, you're talking about Among Us like it's a new thing, and it's just because of this crazy year. And then there's people just past wherever that line was drawn that they were like, we're not ready. All these things are getting delayed. They're like, we just barely made it. And so these little just gold nuggets pop up of games that just I think are getting recognition and attention.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anything else jumps to mind. Ironing out the top 10. You said it before, Brad. It was previously at number 5. At number 8,
I forgot.
Call of Duty.
What did I say?
it's a biggie.
Mario Kart?
It's a
Oh,
feel
Animal
good-
Crossing?
Oh yeah, baby. Animal Crossing: New Horizons. Still getting
Still
those physical
crushing
copies. New to the list, jumping in at number 9. You reviewed this one, Brad,
I reviewed this? Ghost
it's
of
new.
Tsushima?
recently. More recently than that. I believe it was your last
Shit,
review.
what was it? I don't even know what it was. Blend.
Yes.
All my reviews blend
I don't know
together
what it
now.
was
I
either.
know. Get him caught in the nexus. Spread's like, what day is it?
Yeah.
When Blood and,
Oh,
when
shit,
Blood and
what was
Brad
it?
don't know, we're screwed.
What did I review last? I don't remember what the last review I did was. What's happening?
I'll give you a hint. It was in VR.
Oh, Star Wars?
Yeah. Not the first Star
it's
Wars
snuck
game in
there.
VR.
Okay.
Oh, really? It charted. Okay.
Number 9.
Cool.
Yeah, is that cool? Is that a game you want to do well because it, should
I think it's a really good first effort for that game. I think it's a good time, especially in VR.
Should we reward Electronic Arts? I've been on, I've mentioned this on previous podcasts just recently. It's like I'm starting to have
It's
warm feelings about
reasonably priced.
EA. I don't know what to do.
Smaller game, but it's reasonably priced.
My goodness.
It's funny though because they tried to play the good guy card.
Yeah.
They tried to be like, hey, you know what, guys? We're not gonna have a season pass. We're not gonna have all this like additional content and everything. And then people get the game is like, hey, can we get more? It's like, no.
Yeah.
We told
It's
you
just
we're not
like-
gonna do that. We're not gonna
it's
do
like,
that this
okay.
time.
Number 10.
GTA?
An NPD. Oh, I mean, it's an NPD classic, just like GTA. GTA's not on here.
It's Call of Duty by now.
No, we already did Call of Duty,
Already did
didn't
Call
we?
of Duty. It's an NPD darling.
Mario Kart?
Oh, there it is. This is your
Yeah.
right across the finish line. Mario
Oh, it's
Kart.
just back here.
You know what didn't get in the top 10? Just barely.
Smash?
At number 11. Something that I thought was going to launch a lot bigger than this. A franchise that has recently re-achieved popularity. A mascot back.
Crash?
Seeming to travel through time. Crash Bandicoot coming in at 11. Which,
Did that just come out?
That was right on the edge. Too,
Yeah,
though.
didn't that
was
just come
like
out?
The 2nd of October, yeah.
according
Oh, yeah.
to
When
was the
this
cutoff
month of
for
the
NPD?
NPDs, September 2020. I don't know. I don't remember the specific cutoff right now.
Mm.
I do not have that date. Be a great thing
Yeah,
for
so
Well,
that guy
only-
and Star Wars are slipping in.
Yeah, Crash only came out on 2 platforms though. Then
Oh.
there was like a
That's
leak
true.
that said it's coming to next gen and PC later, and potentially Switch later.
Well, remember, was it the collection that like came to Switch like a year later?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's still
okay.
charted, I think, or did very well.
Wow.
Yeah. I feel like they prefer to just keep it with the original team rather than like hand it off to somebody.
Waiting for that Switch Pro, right, Damiani? That's what they're waiting for?
The no load time Switch Pro.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. We'll see. 4K.
I'll never stop believing.
4K Switch. Man, that would be a wild ride. That's true.
Gotta happen sometime.
At some point, yeah. I
Yeah.
just didn't. This would be the fastest that they would try and get it to parity, at least with resolution, to its competitors. It usually seems to lag behind by at least a generation since the end of the since they moved on
Oh,
from
it's
GameCube.
still gonna lag behind.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like visual fidelity, but like image quality, but I mean, Wii was 480p max, where everyone else was doing 1080 up to 1080, and then Wii finally got to 1080, but not a lot of games were running at like 1080 60, or other systems were trying to like push that. I mean, that was still within the same gen, I guess. So like it was late to catch up, period. And then Switch now, yeah, it ain't doing 4K, so. maybe on emulator, but
Yeah, they
not,
wish, dude.
not natively.
I mean, you see how many, how much, sales the Fire Emblem game's gonna get, and all these, Mario 35 and stuff that's like doesn't necessarily need to. I don't know, Mario in 4K would be hype, but doesn't necessarily need it. A lot of Nintendo from 12 through 20, and a lot of games that are getting lots of DLC, lots of fun updates. So it's nice to see stuff that isn't specifically new, but like Ghost of Tsushima, number 12, is definitely something that people are drawn to. Smash Brothers Ultimate, Breath of the Wild, which is no stranger to the NPDs, but has been around recently. Dropped from 11 to 17 because. Hello, I mean, that's another thing. Stadia demo, Immortals, just boom. If you're on Stadia, you can play Immortals now. But just lots of people copying the format, and so I imagine people are going to want to check out the OG. Mortal Kombat 11, another thing that people are definitely checking out Rambo right now.
Still crushing it.
But the other Nintendo classics, Ring Fit Adventure, dropping from number 6 to 13. Super Mario Odyssey and Super Mario Party. UFC going from 2 to 15, so that was definitely a flash there. But
drop off.
UFC was, it was surprising to have UFC at the top there. And then the top 10 best-selling games 2020 year to date. Pretty similar lists, just Call of Duty, Animal Crossing, Last of Us, Madden, typical stuff. Topping everything. Any final thoughts before we move
Where's
on?
Where's Final 7 Remake in there, Jones? Where is it?
It's obviously it's not in there.
It's not in that year to
Shit!
date?
Only came out on one platform.
So did Last of Us, Damiani.
It currently number 6 for year to date, and the last 12 months it is not on the list. It gets knocked off there, but year to date it is on the list, number 6.
All right,
Used to be number 4.
I'll take it.
It'll get a resurgence.
Marvel's Avengers sneaking in.
True.
Brad, before these two games came out, you told me by the end of, by September 2020 that Marvel's would be nipping at the heels of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Scout's honor. I've been playing Marvel's Avengers nearly every day. I'm in a rental house. I'm in a move right now. I'm still making time at least 20 to 30 minutes for Avengers every day. I'm diligent. I do my dailies. Doesn't happen often. I'm MMO trained. Weaned on Final Fantasy XI and World of Warcraft. And I can't believe it's that even for somebody that plays it every day.
Huge IP, man.
Got Iron Man.
It's got multiplayer.
So we'll see. Very curious to see the success. Very curious to see the attention to Marvel going into next gen. But there we go. NPDs. Matt Piscatella. Thank you. Twitch is purging by deleting thousands of streamers' videos due to DMCA, insane DMCA takedowns, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, which is what is driving it. And the heat coming from the Recording Industry Association of America, the RIAA. Brought this up back in June, sent out a bunch of strikes. Strike is definitely not something that you want on your channel, so a lot of streamers were freaking out about it. They have now come in and are just deleting a bunch of videos. Daniel Bloodworth posted, I believe in Slack, that we have not gotten an email. How do you feel about that, Blood? Do you feel good about not getting this email? Do you feel bad about not getting this email?
I feel good about not
enough
getting
to get
the
it,
email.
or are we playing by the rules? And what does this mean for us, at least, for Easy Allies?
I feel good about not getting the email because I have tried to be careful with that kind of thing. At the same time, it doesn't make me feel good about this situation whatsoever. I have to deal with the copyright stuff on YouTube a lot, and I know darn well that there are probably a dozen different record companies at least that think they own the rights to the Tetris song. They do not. This stuff is messy and hard to track, and it's a huge problem. And the solution being, we'll just delete all your stuff without warning you, is ridiculous. Especially because we've seen over the years that Twitch has the ability to at least mute portions. So if a video is 6 hours long and it has, I'll use an example of like what we had, like somebody playing like a song off the radio over voice chat that you don't even have any control over for 40 seconds. Now your 6-hour video is gone because you had no idea. And Twitch is out here saying stuff like, you should go and look through all of your VODs to make sure that you don't have any offending music. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? You want us to look through like 3,000 hours of footage to try to find this stuff when you have a robot that can pinpoint it right now? Right now you could tell people where this stuff is and at least give them 6 months or something, or 3 months to do something about it. But no, it's the whole video. All those videos they're just gone. And it's so dumb to me because the entire existence of Twitch is based on broadcasting other people's copyrighted work. Like, that's what Twitch is.
It wasn't anything before that.
Yeah, I mean, just chatting, yes, it's a very popular category, but Twitch would not be what it is if people were just chatting. So expecting people to understand the difference between what's okay and what's not okay is insane because, what everyone got on my case for making you guys turn off the music in Grand Theft Auto Vice City, right? Like, that's in the game. People expect to be able to just play the game the way it is without all, jumping through these hoops. And even a lot of games that have, I ran into this issue with Forza where they have an option to turn off licensed music, but then they have this, quote unquote safe music that plays in the game, but then, oh, look, that got copyright flagged. Like, so you can't, as a user, have any clue what's okay and what's not okay. Konami strikes Castlevania soundtracks. It's all over the place.
How does this make you feel, Damiani?
I mean, yeah, I'm with Bloodworth on this. Honestly, I think I think Twitch isn't really handling this in the best way. Obviously, don't know about their inner workings, what's going on, but this kind of feels that they just had a huge two things. The pressure is mounting from the lawyers and the legal pressures is mounting that they need to do more to enforce copyright. And it seems like they keep passing the buck, like, oh, we'll do it, we'll put like kicking the can down the road, like we'll do it here, and they've come in waves, and each time they're just like, oh, they even say like it's kind of like a backlog. We had all the thousands of these things that we just haven't dealt with, which reeks of the whole we're just mass deleting everything because it's too much effort for us to go through. Obviously they, as you said, Blood, they have the tools to inform us, so telling us to go do it, the users, is kind of like, that's dumb. But at the same time, I think the reason they don't even care about using the tools is because what if we try and dispute it or something, or there's any recourse? They don't want to have to go through that. They're like, the time's up. Like, we've run out of time. One of the interviews, they said that like after October 23rd, they're not even give you the courtesy of just deleting things. They phrase this as a gift to users. They're like, right. Oh, as a generous gift to prevent you from getting a copyright strike, we have just went ahead and deleted your videos because it was either that or giving you a strike, which might have just, like, if you get too many of those, your channel goes bye-bye and you don't get to make any more money. And it's just this, the mentality and the thinking, as Blood put it very well spoken, is just they aren't doing a very good job of communicating and figuring out what they need to communicate to users and how they can maybe be better working with some of these license holders to iron this stuff out in advance instead of letting it nip them in the butt. Like, they already have a template. YouTube went through this shit, and before this, the recording industry of America went, like, when we went through this in like the early 2000s with every streaming service. There is a blueprint to try and go off of. Like, you should be, like, to say Twitch was unaware that this was going to happen, like, they absolutely were. And to have it happen so suddenly like this again, multiple times that this happened, it's just not a good look for them, and it is frustrating because it should not really be on the users. You're playing another person's game that a studio made, and they spent a lot of time on it. But for the most part, with few exceptions, I would say, most games that are streamed on there are the equivalent of free advertising. It is something that is more helpful and beneficial than detrimental and negative, I would argue. Very few games, I think, which are extremely story heavy and have very little gameplay elements to them might be the exception there, where it's like, okay, there's nothing else to even play in the game, you just give it away. But for broad like the most popular games on Twitch, that's not the case. They're like multiplayer games, they're online games as a service. They're like money making. The whole system is promote, buy your stuff. Like, it's free to play, so go into and spend it. Like, it's part of the system. And the fact that Twitch is not preemptively working to facilitate that and constantly putting it on users and saying, it's the user's fault, you guys need to know better. It's like, well, how do we know better? Like, give us the tools. You should know, like, here's some safe music. And as Blood said, in a year, that safe music, that's not safe anymore. You need to go through it. Like, that's not a good way to do business. So yeah, I think they need to get their act together a little bit on this, because too many more times of there was an exodus, not for this exact reason, but like, people will do an exodus from a social media service to another one if there is a competitor, if it's seen as more viable. And I think right. Twitch is not in danger of that yet, but like, they have to be careful about having too many missteps.
Man, yeah, it's just like the thing that gets me too, like you're talking about, like it being good advertising. Like, it's funny because I've sort of just personally, like the soundtrack libraries that you can use, like the Epidemic music that we have a subscription to. Those are songs I wouldn't know, except now I do, because right. we've played those songs on stream. I've heard those songs now. It's like all of a sudden, like, people are exposed to this music that they wouldn't have otherwise because it was sold to the the soundtrack service. But yeah, it's like there have got to be, like, on every person's level, like every side of this coin, there have got to be better solutions, because you look at, radio, and, like, granted, I don't know how radio licensing works. I don't know what it is about radio that you're just seemingly safe to play whatever the heck you want. I'm sure you pay a good amount of money for that per year. But, something like that, Twitch is a big enough company, to do some, to work something out along those lines, to say, hey, this is how we're going to work this out in your ID system now. Instead of being a tool that blocks and mutes and deletes things, instead says, okay, well, we've made this much money off of users using these songs. Here's your cut, music industry. There it goes. Like, Twitch is still going to make a lot of money. Obviously, radio stations are making money. So, like, however it works on radio's end, there's got to be a business model that can work as well. And then with publishers, the same kind of thing. It's like, okay, we're licensing these tracks. We've got, again, and like some of these tracks, it's like, this is safe. And you check this box and we turn off all the stuff that's not safe. Then it's like, well, then extending the licensing so that streaming and broadcasting is okay on your track list, yeah, that's going to cost more money, but then it's going to make you understand. And there could even be smart things, like this won't apply to professional streamers, but it's like stuff from, say, using a PS4 share button, automatically flip that switch. If you're streaming from a PS4, turn off those tracks in the game so that it's not going to be an issue. So that's what I'm saying. There's all kinds of different levels of solutions that don't just involve, like, delete it. Don't tell anyone, just delete it.
It's that nuance that is largely absent from, like, these gigantic mega companies, these big media companies. And they, like you were saying, Damiani, just going back to, some of the scary periods that we've gone through with YouTube, with them trying to process, like, you know, what are these rights issues and what videos do they specifically exist in, and how can we label that stuff and notify users of it. And Brad, that's always something that's really cracked me up about YouTube and just general, like, companies that have to deal with, like, the size of their libraries. I don't know. Maybe this is naive of me, but it also, I just, you know, it's like the world's smallest violin. It's like, we have too many videos. Like, oh, YouTube, you have too many videos. You know, like, there's so many streamers. Like, boo-hoo. Like, why?
Yeah.
This is obviously a product of your growth. This is exactly what you wanted. Like, from where I'm standing, you were completely responsible for managing all of this stuff. And it's like, do you have a shred of sympathy for these big companies trying to manage all this media? Neither do I.
No, I don't. Hire some people. You have tons of money. Just figure it out, man. Are you owned by Amazon?
You do. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
You do have to hire some
Figure
people.
it out.
Yeah. But I mean, it does, as we were saying earlier, just for context, officially, the email reads, "We are writing to inform you that your channel was subject to one or more of these DMC takedown notifications and that the content identified has been deleted. We recognize that by deleting this content, we are not giving you the option to file a counter notification or seek a retraction from the rights holder. In consideration of this, we have processed these notifications and are issuing you a one-time warning to give you the chance to learn about copyright law." Give you the chance to learn about copyright law. Go for it.
No amount of learning about copyright law will help this.
Is that shots fired?
So backward. It's
Is that
so
shots
backwards.
fired? Go read a book.
How much lawyers get paid to do what they do regarding copyright law, and how you're expecting the average person who operates on both YouTube and Twitch to go familiarize yourself with this and become, like, basically an expert. You should know in every situation when it's this. Obviously, knowing, like, the basics, like, don't upload a whole TV show that you don't own, or don't upload a whole song. Like, that's obviously, that stuff's very black and white, but when you're playing a game with songs, you know, that are already baked into it because it's part of what you paid for, like we talked about Grand Theft Auto, and it gets a little bit, like, murky there. Like, why am I getting in trouble for this? I bought this game, I'm playing it, I'm streaming. You told me I can stream this game. Where did it say I can't stream specifically GTA 3's music? Where does it say that on your page? And it just, like, to tell people, like, go educate yourselves, and, like, trying to pass, them trying to pass the buck like that, that's right. And even, like, those, like, the stupid, like, copyright school, remember YouTube when you got a flag, you had to go, like, do that stupid quiz or whatever? It's like, that's like
driving school, dude.
It's like an insult. It's like, come on.
So ridiculous.
This is they just don't want to deal with it. I think it comes down to it's liability. I think the moment they start acknowledging this and doing stuff, they then become the legal, you know, target, that they paint the target on them, Twitch. So it's Twitch passing the buck to users, like, oh, like, it wasn't us, it was the users. And, like, this has always been, like, the back and forth. Our site's responsible for users' content. It's in a lot broader topics, you know, more than just, like, you know, videos and stuff like that. But I mean, it's a hot topic for the, like, past few years. You know, who takes the blame? Who needs to enforce this stuff? And again, like, companies, companies are not they're not your friends. They're there to make business. No matter how, like, on a social media platform, they want activity, and they play loose with the rules because it's, for them, it's better. But when things get, like, you know, get in trouble, they're like, it was the users. Like, we didn't know that was going on, so spare us, don't sue us. You know, we'll take it out on them, and then we'll do something about it. Yeah.
Right, but it's like, and the other thing, you know, going back, you know, like what they said, was that line there, like, we didn't give you a chance to dispute this, right?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, again, going back to the Tetris example, how many times, because Kyle streamed Tetris, that people will file a claim on Tetris, and it just shows, like, the stupidity of it all, because basically somebody in 1991 sampled a Game Boy. They took the music from Nintendo Game Boy song and played it in their song, released a record, and now this record company thinks, due to the algorithm identifying it, that they own the song that plays in Tetris. And if you dispute it, a lot of the times, yeah, they'll wave it away. But if you say, we just deleted everything that had Tetris in it, like, no.
Yeah, that.
And I've seen people that wrote songs, I've seen composers say that they have been flagged for their own music
Yeah.
because some
Jeez.
other jerk,
Yes.
you know, managed to claim a copyright in some other country somewhere or something. You know,
What?
it's just
Yeah, what was the trailer one back at, like, was it Easy in beginning of Easy Allies or game trailers where like a Sony and like a company, they were uploading a trailer and one flagged the other company for it because of this YouTube algorithm. It was like we were premiering a trailer and like Sony like got flagged by the publisher or vice versa, and it deleted the video or something. It was like like the pinnacle of this is so absurd.
Yeah.
But
Links
the one
not
thing
working in official announcements is always funny.
I do want to say the last crappy thing about this is Bloodworth's point about not being able to challenge us, not giving any advance notice to do something about this. Losing, if that was your only place, if you weren't like us where we upload a lot of our stuff to like a YouTube archive channel, if VODs on Twitch were where your content lived after the live stream and it's just been mass deleted, how many hours of content's now gone? Like how many things did you lose from that? And it's like you have no way to recover that. That's gotta be like the worst feeling, and that absolutely sucks.
Because when people talk about digital as opposed to having all this stuff backed up, I always generally favor digital just because I love ease of use of anything. But yeah, the people always say, they're like, yeah, but what if Google went away? What if you lost all those documents, all that stuff? And like, here's a real example of it, especially if this is your primary career. So sadly, I don't think that is the last of it, Damiani. I think we will probably be continuing this conversation at some point in the future. And now, a word from our sponsor. I listen to music while I walk the Sophie. I'm in a strange new neighborhood, learning the appropriate time to walk at night. It's interesting. You go out at 9 p.m. versus 10 p.m. It's different people walking around there, different vibe. But I like to keep the vibe spooky in the right way. Walking a dog at night. I've been listening to lots of spooky soundtracks. Been listening to lots of Danny Elfman. Lots of Drag Me to Hell is a fun soundtrack. Obviously Frankenstein, Sleepy Hollow, Dracula, the Francis Ford Coppola. And you know what the best way to listen is? Using a pair of premium wireless earbuds, especially when you can get them with less than half the price of the other guys. Got the leash, got the poop bag. I need my hands free. And these things are extremely comfortable, which is why I recommend wireless earbuds from Raycon. Never leaves my side. I'm moving right now, and I was packing everything up, and I was like, boop. That's definitely the easy pick going dry. I think it was even in my backpack. Didn't even have to take it out of my backpack. Raycon's newest model, the Everyday E25 earbuds, are their best ones yet, with 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, a more compact design, and a noise-isolating fit. Raycon earbuds are stylish and discreet, no dangling wires or stems. Look how compact that is. The company was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Snoop Dogg are obsessed with their products. You might have seen Daniel Bloodworth and Snoop Dogg working together before. Give them a try. Raycon has a 45-day return-free policy, so you can make sure they're the pair of wireless earbuds for you. Daniel Bloodworth does not like when I bring that up, by the way, just for people at home. They want the lore.
it's fine.
They like that. So I try to at least do it differently every time. For a limited time, get 50% off your order at buyraycon.com/allies. That's buyraycon.com/allies for a special 15% discount on Raycon's wireless earbuds. Make sure to check it out now while the deal's running. Buyraycon.com/allies. Raycon's been with the Easy Allies podcast for a while now, and this has been. There's only lots of different things that they report when we work with different sponsors, but this was like one of our earliest. They sent these. I've been using them the entire time. One of the easiest sponsors. Again, go to buyraycon.com/allies to get 15% off of your order. And if you are a patron of Easy Allies, thank you. This, in and of itself, might not be a major headline. You might accuse me, Brandon Jones, moderator of this podcast, for like shilling for Ubisoft here and being like, this is an ad. What is this? This is not some announcement. It is a headline on the Easy Allies podcast. You play in Ubisoft Club to be refreshed and expanded as Ubisoft Connect.
Oh boy.
This is something relevant to me because this is kicking off with Watch Dogs Legion at the end of the month, which I'm looking forward to. Ubisoft Connect will be the new universal home for all Ubisoft in-game services, activities, and communities on all platforms. Everything you play and Ubisoft Club for in the past will be refreshed, expanded, and merged into Ubisoft Connect starting October 29th, which coincides with the launch of Watch Dogs Legion. The actual relevant cool news is that it brings crossplay and cross-progression for select games.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is neat, and these are games potentially that if you saw the Stadia reveal, you might want to play Assassin's Creed Odyssey on multiple consoles on one desk, but you also might want to, be potentially connecting consoles and such moving into the next generation. So that is kind of cool. But I bring this up because this is a slow news week, first of all, and this is a weird trend lately of all these companies being like, you know what, that thing that we did before, never mind. That's called this now. This seems like a weird shift. It seems like this is a trend people are doing. EA retiring Origin, calling their desktop client just the EA desktop client now. Microsoft changed the Game Pass logo, and we thought they'd change the name of Game Pass. We thought we took Xbox out of it. Nintendo's made a bunch of crazy changes with the Switch. Just as far as software that we were waiting for it to come back that has not. Is next gen a good time to do this? Is this being done for next gen on behalf of Ubisoft?
Oh, I mean, when you bring up that last point, I think so. When you talk about, cross-play, cross-progression, all that kind of thing, that's infrastructure that they need to have in place, and stuff like Fortnite got that kicked off. But I think it's something that you're seeing more and more people trying to take advantage of. Dead by Daylight, like they're not 100% there yet, but they're working on it. And so, I can see them saying, "Hey, we need to be able to do this with our titles. We need to." Stadia, I think, is a perfect example. It's like if you're playing, on console, but then you want to, go on vacation and all you're going to bring is your laptop, well, then you can keep playing your game on Stadia, and you'll have your save file and your progress and everything else. And if, in a Stadia's example, like, you're buying a second copy of the game to do that, so that really benefits them for sure. But I think the necessity for that probably, didn't fit in with their old systems. And so it's like, okay, we have to build a way to do this, and then let's bring in all the other things that we are already doing into it, which, a lot of the you play points and rewards, I don't pay a lot of attention to. It's like I boot up the game, it's like, oh, I have points, I'll get that sword and that skin. And
that's what I use for pretty much.
Is that something that you do regularly when we boot up games, that if you're going to play something for work, Brad, and it's like, hey, do you want to connect blah, blah, blah to blah, blah, blah? Or are you like, well, sure, I'll get some outfit.
Not really. No, not usually. I don't usually do that unless I get some reward out of it.
Well, pre-release, a lot of that stuff isn't turned on yet, so you miss out on it then,
I don't know. I can't think of a lot of games besides the Ubisoft games where that happens to me, Jones.
Well, I mean, it has been, speaking of trends, it has been something we, 2 gens ago, we weren't dealing with this, where these companies each had their own weird club and thing. Even like Rockstar, which I love, is like, Rockstar Social Clubs, like, you guys don't have a lot of games. I don't know. There's not.
Right.
There's only so many franchises. It's like the key. Every time they have like a newsletter, it's like Max Payne again. It's like the same series. As much as I love a lot of that stuff. So I imagine, Brad, like, we're not excited to begin with having to sign up for these damn services. Like, if you're Ubisoft, like, how do you package this to be like, guess what, consumers? You're changing all that stuff and moving.
They were all trying to do
around.
their own thing at a point, like their own stores and everything, and these were tied in all that, and they're just kind of slowly moving away from that, it seems like.
Well, just changing it. And that's the other thing is, that was like my grump take after Infinity got canceled, was like, well, why am I going to be excited for anything you do? It's like every time this changes, like, you've dealt with this, Damiani's a Nintendo fan over the years. It's just like, nope, that thing's canceled. Now it's this weird new shape. Is that something you wish happened less, or is that, again, just the nature of, console cycles and software cycles and the business in general?
I mean, I never necessarily like happy when it happens, but I mean, I just, I don't know if I had anything maybe go down as much like to the extent of Disney Infinity, like with like Nintendo, because man, like, even someone who wasn't really into Disney Infinity, observing you going through like Disney Infinity.
Well, I mean, like Nintendo Power, like.
Well, I mean, like, I mean, so the thing is with I think the biggest thing maybe for Nintendo, it happened so long. For me, Nintendo's things were, they were one of the first to go through all this and then ditch a lot of this and move on and like become something else. You know what? Maybe the My Nintendo to Club Nintendo stuff more recently for Nintendo was probably it, because before that point, I used to like the rewards they had. So here's a good thing. So right at the end of the Wii DS generation and starting with the Wii U 3DS, they kept up those points where you registered a game, you took a survey, you got points, and they had a catalog, and every so often they put like a really rare thing in there, like that Mario statue with Bowser that Huber used to like freaking love on my desk back at the Defy offices and back at Viacom. And then they did like a Luigi's Mansion one. They've done like cool things like that. Then they went and did like they had the system they have now. You can use like they have so many different tiers now. Like gold coins can be used for like discounts, but only on certain things. And then, but they can only be, and sometimes they can only be used to redeem stuff on older systems. They don't work on Switch. And you got like the platinum coins, which can be used as in-game currency for some of their mobile games. It's like it just went a little overboard. And I'm still sitting back like, where are the physical prizes and like they the physical rewards? And they still have some of those, but they have fewer of them. And they sell out much faster. And it feels like. It felt like such a much more simple process back in the day, and when it gets too convoluted and complicated, I think that's where you lose someone like me, and I'm just out. And a lot of these more recent things, like with Uplay, especially Uplay and Ubisoft stuff, I just prayed, can I just skip this at the beginning of the game? It's like, as long as I don't have to connect my account, yes, that's a win for me. It feels so good. But then where games like, no, you must. I'm like, no. Or especially when EA was Origin, man, that was the worst. Mm-hmm. I hated that stuff, and yeah, I hated it.
The thing that's so funny about these pre-order bonuses and these like things that you get in your inventory, especially for something like Odyssey, where it's like the gear grind in that is so monumental, and the difference between your first level and your last level are so significant, especially like past the DLC and everything, that I get into the game and it's like, okay, I have two ways my horse can look. It can literally wearing nothing, or the crazy shiniest, most gilded nonsense you've ever seen in your entire life, and it just feels weird to be like, well, I'm off on my journey and wearing a horse that's like, I'm retired. Like, we're done.
Yeah.
It's over. It's one thing, like, we go Spider-Man, if you get some bonus, it's just like a different skin, but it's just like, it's strange to just start these things with clearly some sign of progress that you have not earned whatsoever.
Nothing beats the Japanese Club Nintendo from back in the day, though. Yeah. We would, since, Nintendo World Report, we used to import a lot of games for coverage, and so I think there was a guy who was either in Japan or connected to Japan or whatever, but basically everyone would give the codes to him and the points would accumulate, and then we would get cool stuff, and some of that stuff like soundtracks, then we would just share it around. So
the coin keeper.
Yeah,
I feel like
they had a lot of special edition stuff there.
Oh my gosh, yes they did. I honestly think it's more just evolving with times as well. A next gen, start of a new gen is a good time to try and like take the feedback from the past few years, be like, this wasn't working, let's maybe ditch this, let's go with that. I mean, we're talking about older stuff. I mean, at one point Nintendo and Sony both had like official forums for discussion. It was like, a big place for the community to be.
Right.
And both of them are like, now that's only support forums. You got a technical issue, you come here, but go because people made their own sites, and then like Twitter took off, and then like YouTube, and everyone's like, everyone goes there, so why would we don't need this anymore? This is a little archaic.
Well, PlayStation has the groups, but yeah, I mean, I'll admit that I haven't scanned the messages in our PlayStation group for some time.
I think those are
naughty Bloodworth.
And for the timeline, in case people are curious, Ubisoft Connect experience will launch on Windows PC, Xbox One, PS4, and Nintendo Switch, and be available on Xbox Series X and S on November 10th, and PlayStation 5 on November 15th. The service will also come to Stadia, Nvidia GeForce Now, and Amazon Luna.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Brad, I forgot that existed.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Brad, do you even know what that is? Did you catch that announcement
it's like
when
their
it happened?
Cloud gaming thing,
It's their Stadia, yeah.
Yeah. Hooray.
Went into beta
Hooray.
yesterday or today.
Hooray.
Yay. Yeah, check it out.
Yeah, what did they say?
Well, maybe it'll be better.
Konami put like the Contra collection on Luna right away too. That was funny. Yeah, that was 2 days ago that Luna early access started.
Contra.
I mean, I brought it up recently. I don't know if we recorded a lot of things lately. I don't know if it was even on this very podcast, but that Immortals demo's on Stadia. Yeah. And I played. I mean, that's fun. I played that today, and it's actually
weird. It's only on there.
It is only on Stadia for a week, and
then you can't mine the files, dude.
Right.
Oh, you're right.
And it's totally its own thing. It's not even what you played, Damiani, because it's you can only do 2 islands. It's just 2 islands right next to each other, and you can't go past that. It's like I think they moved it away from like the rest of the map, so they put a lot of effort into that.
Yeah, I honestly, I expect more demos to do this kind of thing. Even if they don't use Stadia, it's going to be, they're seeing success with preview events, and I think we're just going to see more and more of that because there have been so many problems that have occurred due to demos over the years.
Man, with open world games, I feel like I gotta watch what I eat, and just every Ubisoft game is just this huge buffet. It's like, oh god, I just playing Immortals 5 minutes. I'm like, oh no. The first time I'm like, oh look at things I can harvest. I'm like, it's a demo. What am I doing? Why am I picking up blueberries? What? Let's get on with it. This week, Devolver Digital bought Croteam, which makes Serious Sam.
Yeah.
Devolver
Talos Principle.
Principle, yeah.
Oh yes. Just one of those Talos Principles, though. They've made 5 Serious Sams, it appears.
VR Talos Principle is a little different, I think.
Oh, I'm sure.
I could be wrong.
And I do not recall, first of all, Developer Digital going on an acquiring spree. Have they picked up a lot of things recently?
Either.
They were originally publishing
I think
Serious
of them
Sam 4.
usually just publishing, yeah. And they were already publishing Croteam stuff, I believe.
Yeah.
They currently publishing Serious Sam 4, and there's some interesting rumors about stuff that Croteam is working on, but let's do a little mini retrospective on Croteam, going back to 1994, where they made Football Glory for the Amiga and MS-DOS.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
1995, Save the Earth for just the Amiga, exclusive. In 1998, Five-A-Side Soccer for the MS-DOS. Humble beginnings. But then kicking ass with Serious Sam, the first encounter, in what year? 1998, Five-A-Side Soccer came out. When did they launch
1999?
Serious Sam, the
99.
first encounter? Nay. Not the
2000.
20th century. Pish. 2001.
Really?
On Windows and
Sure,
Xbox.
I remember people playing it before then. Okay.
Xbox in 2002. And it only took a year for second encounter. 1 year later in 2000. Yeah, so 2001 and 2002 later, second encounter launched. Took a couple more years for Serious Sam 2, which also came out on Windows and Xbox. So these are exclusive to Xbox, which I did not know, for Serious Sam 2 in 2005. Took a little bit longer for Serious Sam 3 BFE, Windows, Xbox 360, and now finally on PlayStation 3. So yes, 4 Serious Sam games, even though the 2011 version was Serious Sam 3. And then a sharp turn for the Talos Principle in 2014.
Yeah.
Bloodworth, if you followed any documentation where they explained what in the world happened there, where they changed between these two games, they actually stylistically do have things in common. Large grass
very
fields
similar
and
texture work, yeah.
like lots of yellow palettes and but which leads us to kind of what they're working on now. Serious Sam 4 coming out this year. Talos Principle 2 heavily rumored, and an original IP from Croteam and the Croteam Incubator Studios. ?
Interesting. Well, Serious Sam 4 has been out for a few weeks, but...
Boom. Sorry, delete your comment.
I think... Yeah, I don't know. Like, I wonder how well that has done. I wonder how well that team is doing. So I could see Devolver Digital buying them just for the assist of like, hey, like, COVID world sucks right now. Well, make sure that you don't go under.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. That's a pure speculation. It's pure
kind of a good
speculation.
working relationship with each other.
My side of the speculation is kind of a chicken and the egg thing. Like, did they start, come in to publish Serious Sam 4, and then during that process, kind of scout them out as something that would potentially make sense for Devolver Digital? Or was that always kind of a part of the, the acquisition was them publishing Serious Sam 4?
Right.
And just kind of, both sides of this thing, Damiani. If you were Croteam, is it smart to partner up with Devolver? Are they in a good position to handle that right now for Croteam's future?
I mean, they've been doing a pretty good job the last few years. I mean, as a publisher, I think they have a very good track record, and they they have a diverse profile of games that they publish out there. So I think they have shown that they know how to handle a bunch of different types of games, and have games that have become very successful. And I think that difficult times, it's good to go with someone who has a proven track record, and I think it's a smart move. I don't see anything wrong with it, honestly.
And on the other side, your Devolver Digital, how much value does Croteam have?
I mean, I think I think it's more about them building again their portfolio. I think it's more about them trying to show that they can do more, they can do bigger. I think they're thinking big after with Fall Guys. They were the publisher on that, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So they've seen that like that they have. I mean, they weren't the ones who made the game, but it's like, hey, we now have a big hit under us, and let's start now. We're acquiring studios, so it's like, hey, we're making a power play here. Maybe this is our time. Like, strike while the iron is hot. I mean, that would be my best guess about what they're thinking
Right.
is. And if I was them, it's like, do this. Like, pick up someone like Serious Sam, good, great franchise. Talos Principle, great, critically acclaimed game with, and we got a sequel coming out. We just had another Serious Sam come out. I mean, we're having them work on another project. Like, they're pumping out games, so like they're reliable on their end as well. So I think it's and also you maybe want to start small. I don't know if Devolver owns anyone else. I'm sorry if they own someone bigger than this, but if not, or even if they do, maybe they're just trying to don't bite off more than you can chew. Start off with something that you can manage and handle. Learn the lessons from that, and maybe they have their eyes set on a bigger fish in the future.
Yeah, hard to say. It's just for these things, I think. Croteam does not strike me as a company that was looking to be purchased, and Devolver Digital did not strike me as somebody who would be welcoming in specifically this company, following what Croteam has on deck. It's just again those two big question marks. The team all but certain again they were the ones quoting that original IP, and Talos Principle 2 seems kind of like all but a lock, which is fun. Sometimes for indie games they tend to be just solo experiences, just that thing. But very interested to see what they got in the future. Also this week, here's a quick rundown of headlines we're not going to dive into unless you want to. If any of these strike you in your heart and you want to talk about them, we shall. We don't have to talk about this, but I always love it when somebody sues EA. 2 people in Canada have had enough and are suing EA over their, quote, unlicensed illegal gaming system. That thing they got. So we'll see. Good luck, those 2 people. Kara Ellison, a narrative designer, has also left Bloodlines 2 for Armello dev League of Geeks.
Whoa.
That's a win for Armello.
A win for
At least
Armello.
for them, yeah.
Something sad about, but again, when we talked about the previous narrative designers leaving Bloodlines 2, it came with a big question of like how much at this point did they have to do. This might be something where somebody's just like, my job's not as interesting as it used to be. It's kind of more on the development side. If it's like, hey, we lost those 2 people, why not? I wonder if Kara's just kind of looking around the office like, what am I still doing here? But who knows? Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle announced, a battle royale coming to Stadia November 17th. Stadia, so hot.
Battle Royale,
right
I missed
now.
that part. I knew there was a Pac-Man game coming to Stadia. I didn't know it was a Battle Royale.
Fun new Pac-Man games recently, actually. Master Chief Collection getting upgraded to play at 120 FPS on Xbox Series X and S. Following an update to the iPhone Xbox app, you can now remotely play Xbox games. Kinda. It's a little messy. They're definitely looking for that workaround, but I guess the baby steps have begun. Fortnite, along with the big fun Halloween event that they're having, the Huber Digs, is the newest game to make its file size smaller through a recent update. It's all the rage.
Keep doing that. Keep doing that for
Good
games.
stuff.
Ben wasn't sure what was funny about this, Damiani, but I offered 2 different possibilities for Minecraft Steve holding his meat in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. To me, the funnier option is if they actually changed it, which meant that Nintendo did have a problem, and that Nintendo at one point had a penis meeting. They did. They removed Minecraft Steve's offensive pose. He's just standing there now, both hands at his side, no longer holding, an item from the game. Food.
Man, yeah, Sakurai reworked all those levels to account for the blocks and everything, but didn't look at the windscreen for some reason.
Didn't know.
They should have changed the windscreen. It was just
Or
the
didn't have a
framing.
problem.
Just change the windscreen.
It's just this. It's the whole Earth's varied response to sexuality, Damiani. Japan's got their own take on it. The UK's got their own take on it. The US, obviously, we're very sheltered.
Man, yeah.
We weren't
People
ready.
see something
We weren't
so
ready.
much they just don't see. They don't see what everyone else sees. I think it was just like no
Right.
one outside that bubble saw that because they can be secretive with it.
Yep.
So I think no one outside the development team and the PR team knew it. Like, oh, this looks perfectly fine, and then first person who sees it when we see it, like, how did you miss this? Like,
Yeah.
sometimes it's just, yeah.
Should have kept it, cowards.
Avengers delayed Kate Bishop and the next-gen versions of the game, but there was a worry that I had, because I'm always just a pessimist in these regards for games that I'm invested in as much as Avengers, but apparently the next-gen thing is going to be fine. It's not the next-gen official versions of those games are not coming until next year. You'll still be able to play the PS4 and Xbox One versions on the new consoles, which will, I would, they want to say run better. I will say run appropriately. And Kate Bishop obviously, and then Hawkeye after that. Let it cook. Part of Disco Elysium has been ported to Game Boy. Didn't do any more research on that. That was an Ian Hink joint. Dropped that in Slack.
Nice.
Unskippable ads in NBA 2K, returning in NBA 2K1. We already talked about that. Grim Fandango, Day of the Tentacle, and Full Throttle Remastered coming to Game Pass.
Very nice.
Cool. Nice.
Sadly, on the other end of the spectrum, apparently you cannot download PT to a PlayStation 5. I would not have assumed you could do so, but I guess that was finally
I wouldn't
confirmed.
either. I'm still curious, though, because if you can just, port your hard drive over from one to the other, whether it will transfer then, or if that's more of not really taking the information and just, taking the licenses and, oh, you have that. Okay, we'll download it. Okay, you have that. You know. So I don't know how that process is actually going to work.
Yeah. That'll be interesting.
Darkest Dungeon 2 will launch in 2021. I think we knew that was soon, but officially they put a date on it. Gary Whitta and Greg Miller visited Joe Biden's Animal Crossing Island, which was okay. It wasn't that.
Just okay.
You got the dream code, you go check it out.
John's been to a lot of islands.
Not happy.
He's not liking Biden.
Yeah.
Not liking that island.
I would, yeah, that's Blood. That's an excellent review. Is that I've seen better. It's I've seen some more people.
Yeah, I've seen better.
And speaking of, politics and games, you gotta love it. AOC, aka Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, streamed Among Us for over 430,000. I think it was 438. Almost got to 440. 430,000 people on Twitch watched her kill and be killed in Among Us. With a couple other famous YouTubers. The original Fire Emblem finally coming to the U.S. on Switch. The OG, the original.
Cool. Very cool.
Tempting, man. I don't know. I can't tell if the Fire Emblem fans amongst the allies will be upset or happy with me if that's the first Fire Emblem that I play. This weird old version.
Hey, man, whatever. Whatever gets you in.
Yeah, whatever starts you on it.
And as divisive as you would probably expect, the world got to see their first look at Tom Holland as Nathan Drake in the new Uncharted movie. Some people like it. Some people are confused.
Some people thought it was a watch ad.
Some people thought it was a watch ad. Nolan North apparently went to set. We got to see the two of them together. And how do you hate Tom Holland? It's tough.
He's doing his best.
He is doing his best.
Big shoes to fill.
Would you say no? Would you say no? I would say no to that role. It is time for Love and Respect.
Love and respect.
From Willow Pingree, my dear allies, here's a submission for you to blast the limbs off of. Seeing Ben's Dead Space playthrough this past week, it got me thinking about what a great series it once was. Such a downer that it ended on a bit of a sour note, with sales of Dead Space 3 below expectations and mixed to negative reactions to it. However, we all know the most tragic thing about the series is the shutdown of Visceral Studios, seemingly burying it indefinitely. As someone who loves the Dead Space franchise so dearly, this came as a pretty crushing blow, but I continued maintaining the slightest of hopes that the series may return. That being said, my question to all of you is this. Should Dead Space ever return, what would you love to see? A sequel, a remake, or remasters of all three games, having the series being helmed by a new studio? As an avid lover of Dead Space and horror games in general, I long for nothing more than to return to being chased by and eventually brutalizing necromorphs in an all-new journey through the vast, cold, and brutal atmosphere of a derelict, body-filled spaceship. Love and respect, Willow.
I would love a remaster. Be great to have those, at least the first two.
At least the first two.
I don't like three, really.
What a insulting line in the sand to draw. But yeah, if it was just one and two.
I bailed on Huber in that game, and I played through Kane Lynch 1 and 2 with him. I bailed on Dead Space 3.
Why does Kane Lynch always come as the barometer of
Because everyone knows it sucks.
A backlash, for Dead Space 3.
But if it came back, Jones, I'd want it to be a reboot. I think it's been long enough they can reimagine it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I
mean, I want it to be horror still.
Yeah, keep the vibes, but we don't need the lore.
I don't need to continue the story.
Yeah, you can do new things with it. Yeah.
No one gives a shit about the story after 3.
Yeah. It'd be fun. I think you could. I'm sorry, Damiani.
I was gonna say with the studio gone too, it's you need to start it again. Even something as grand as a Blue Point ground up visual overhaul of the first game would be nice, but at the same time it's that studio's not around. It kind of sucks, Just cut that trilogy loose and move on and make something new.
Did any of y'all see either of the Alice in Wonderland movies that came out?
I saw the first one. I forgot there was a second one.
I saw both.
The first one is the correct answer there, if you're going to check out one at least.
Yeah.
But one of the things I liked about that movie was that I couldn't tell, and they didn't really say, like, what's going on. Like, going into it, I'm like, is this a sequel? Is this a remake? Is this a retelling? Is this a prequel? Is this in another dimension? Do they both coexist? What the hell's happening? That would kind of be a fun Dead Space remaster, if or a remake, if they're like, oh yeah, we're telling you a brand new thing. And then you get into it, and it's like, wait, is this after the events
still
or
connected.
what? Like, it doesn't need to be, but if you're so dug in, if you're Huber and you've played Dead Space 2
things.
40 times,
It's
you're
not a bad idea,
wait
Jones,
a
I
minute,
guess.
because it's like new character names. It can kind of exist in both. Because that, it's like you think of
Same
like
universe.
Event Horizon. Those are like two totally separate stories. Like
Yeah.
the ship originally, and then the ship that found it later.
I mean, Dead Space kind of has some flaws with its premise too that make it difficult for sequels, right? Because part of the idea with a lot of your weapons is just being
tools,
just being innovative and just like using the tools that you have at hand. And that works great for a first game, but if you're 4 games in and you're just like picking up a screwdriver and turning it into a weapon, like maybe it's time to invest in some real weapons.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a crazy world. I also think that cutting off their limbs instead of getting headshots was, it's a neat twist, but it's also, how long does that still feel fresh? What do you need to do moving forward to make these things feel more threatening? So, yeah.
From Michelle Jackson, hello allies. I made up this game a long time ago and just remembered it, so I thought I'd send it along. I like the backstory. I'm going to provide 2 names, and I want the panel to guess which one is a K-pop group and which is a DS game. So I guess you can call it K-pop or DS or something like that. Love and respect.
I love it.
Round
when
1.
Twitch is like releasing new stuff for K-pop celebrations.
Round 1, Soul Bubbles versus Rubber Soul. Which is which?
Soul Bubbles is a DS game.
All right, I'll go with the other
I'm
one.
trusting Blowerth on this. Tendo expert.
Yeah? You gonna go with
I'll
Glenn?
go opposite.
Oh, you're going opposite, are you, Damiani?
Yeah,
Well,
I'll go
you're wrong,
opposite.
Damiani. The Rubber Soul is the
Always
K-pop
trust
band.
blood.
Rubber Soul is a 2-woman hip-hop group which debuted in 2015. You can go pick up DS, the Soul Bubbles for the DS if you would like. Round 2, 5 Treasure Island versus Dolphin Island.
Dolphin Island's gotta be. Oh shit. 5 Treasure Island.
5 Treasure
Dolphin Island.
That's
is the
K-pop,
game.
dude. Dolphin
Yeah,
Island's.
the
I think I'm
game.
going with Brad.
Yeah, Dolphin
Yeah.
Island's DS.
Brad's got
Yeah.
it. 5
Yeah.
Treasure Island is a 5-member rock band which debuted in 2007, abbreviated as FT
5
Island.
members.
What a hilariously awesome name.
And you can go get that Dolphin Island on the DS. It's a marine zoom simulator developed by Ubisoft, released in 2009.
Yes, Ubisoft make all those crappy
Jeez.
I made all the pet ones too, right?
So many ones. Yeah.
All the Nintendogs clones.
So yeah, it's like, they
Pets,
just put a Z
babies.
at the end of an animal's name.
Round 3, Nanostray versus Neoculture Technology.
You don't know Nanostray?
Well,
Come
Nanostray's a
on.
game.
Yeah,
Mhm.
man.
What do you? I'm the one. I'm the moderator, man. What are you insulting me through? What? This is my aloof attitude is so you don't know which.
Blood
Come
not
on,
amused.
Jones.
I'm pretty sure I
What
got
the hell,
Nanostray
man?
in the other room,
Blood
so
not
that's okay.
amused right there.
Whoa, sorry. Round 3. We're canceling round 3. Well, let me tell you a little bit more about Neoculture Technology, a boy band with unlimited members. It's complicated, which debuted
What?
in 2016. It might be a what is the
They just funnel
what's
them
the
in and
Latin
out.
what's the Latin band like the original version of this? Damn it! That'll be a correction for next week. Menudo, I think it's something that they recast it. It's like imagine Backstreet Boys, but it was literally like a new five new guys like
Yeah.
every like
Okay.
4 years. There's some
That's weird.
There's some Latino group that does that. It's like the Mickey Mouse Club. They just like, keep coming back.
Oh, sure.
And Nanostray is a vertical scrolling shooter, which Daniel Bloodworth is very passionate about, developed by Shinren Multimedia and released in 2005. Shinen, sorry.
I was gonna say Shinra.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shinra.
Pop Town versus Mad Town.
Whoa, what was the first
Poptown?
Pop Town
Pop Town's DS
versus
game.
Mad,
Mad
Town.
Town's the K-pop group.
Yeah.
Confident?
Yeah.
All right. 7 members in that Madtown K-pop group, which was active between 2014 and 2017. Michelle doesn't let us know what happened. Something happened in 2017. They called it quits.
Shit. Something was said.
Poptown, which is totally this is the curveball answer. You would think Poptown would be the pop group. Rhythm game developed by Hune X, released in 2009 on that DS there. 2 more.
Wait.
Lost. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I thought I recognized the name. Never mind. Keep going.
Here's a name I recognize. Lost in Blue versus Codename Blue.
Yeah, Lost in Blue is great.
Oh.
Lost in Blue is a classic. Didn't play it. Was tempted to.
Dude, this game, you don't bring this game when Blood and Damiano are on the panel, man.
No, yeah,
They're just like laughing at every
anything
question.
Oh,
Oh, come on.
Right.
Everyone
DS
knows that.
no
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, I'm at, my wife played a fair amount of Lost in Blue, so yeah. And
There was a
has
sequel to
sequels
that,
as well,
wasn't there,
yeah.
too? Yeah, Lost in Blue 2.
Still lost in Blood.
Codename Blue, though, 4-member rock band, debuted in 2009, abbreviated as CN Blue, all caps. No
Of course.
periods there. In case you were wondering, where was it? The FT Island, F.T. Island. But CN Blue, all one word. In case you're taking notes, Lost in Blue, survival sandbox game from Konami, released in 2005. I should have asked Bloodworth when that came out. He's so sure of himself. Round 6 and final round, Fin Killing Liberty or Freedom Wings? Fin Killing Liberty or Freedom Wings?
I'm going to say that's K-pop, dude.
Which one?
That's a ridiculous. The first one.
Yeah.
Fin Killing Liberty.
That is
Freedom Wings
ridiculous.
Sounds familiar, but I can't place it.
And it is K-pop. 4-member girl
Yep.
group active from 1998 to 2005, abbreviated as Fin KL. Freedom Wings was on the DS. Flight simulator developed by Taito, released in 2006.
Taito.
Thank you, Michelle.
Okay.
That was a lot of fun.
Nice. Yeah.
Samuel Smith has a question. Hi, allies. Quick question for you. Is Godfall the Knack of this generation? If so, will Huber be reviewing it? P.S. Brad is right. Candy corn is gross. So there's a lot to unpack there.
Godfall's not even out yet.
First of all,
The neck of this generation.
well, are we at the position with Knack that we were now in the PS4
I don't know what
generation?
you guys were your position with.
Brad,
Knack
you were
was
there,
before.
right? You
Wait,
were the
on
gen
what?
that was?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you remember where we got to in this knack discussion.
Super excited, then talking him off
Right.
the ledge.
But then I'm talking about a 5. I'm talking about a
Oh, a
5. And I
5.
feel nothing is what
Sure.
I feel about Godfall.
I feel nothing. Yeah,
I
maybe.
don't think it's bad. I don't think it's good. I feel nothing.
But the thing is,
That is
I'll give
Knack.
Godfall is the gameplay could be fun. It could be. I'm not betting on it, but it could be.
It's like a punk rock anthem. Blood.
I'm willing to give it a shot, baby.
I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's good. It's nothing. Is Huber reviewing Godfall? Are we promising a Godfall?
No.
review?
Brad's
No,
spoken
I'm
up
the
for
one
he's
up-
spoken up for like 12 games now. So.
Yeah,
That's right.
No one wanted to touch it, so I was like, fine.
We just had a scheduling meeting. Everyone was like, "Hey, Brad, can you help me work on?" No,
no, play Godfall.
too many damn games coming up. There you go. Also, candy corn is delicious. I don't know what.
Candy corn
Oh
sucks.
no, the candy corn's coming.
Speaking of candy
Oh,
corn
wow.
around
Oh,
Brandon Jones.
You have
man.
a stash,
There
dude.
we go. The hidden
hilarious.
stash is still safe.
That's good.
I'm eating candy corn while we're recording this podcast. I'm eating candy corn while we're cutting this podcast. I'm eating candy corn while I'm uploading this podcast.
You don't need to eat anymore while we're recording. That definitely has not been happening.
This one right here. I shouldn't eat this one, Bloodward.
No,
Just do it, dude.
I'll leave it right there. If I get final word, my final word will be
Oh,
that candy corn.
yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Fingers crossed. Jerry Young, hi allies. As someone who's never been into the Looter Destiny style game, I was shocked to find myself coming back to Ghost of Tsushima Legends over and over. The gameplay, impactful loot and upgrades, mix of modes have all been a lot of fun to dive into. To me, the most amazing part of it is that it's a free update to a single-player game. I know the scale is much different, but when compared to things like Ghost Recon Breakpoint, Anthem, even Avengers, is there anything to be taken from Legends when compared to other looter games? Love and respect, Jerry. It's not really like a headline, this game, but like I want to talk about this because I haven't
will
touched it yet.
say, as someone who's played both, or a lot of the multiplayer, it's very different from the campaign, which I think helps. It introduces a lot of different mechanics that are completely absent from the main campaign. So I think it brings something new instead of just kind of doing the same. Like when you do Avengers Jones, it's like, oh, I did this kind of stuff through the game.
Oh, I know.
But in this, it's like, I didn't do anything like this in the main game.
And
It's interesting.
do you get like kind of like a Blood Dragon vibe from it, Brad? Like, do you think it's good for developers to kind of get a chance to experience something weird, and do something
Yeah, sure.
strange?
Oh, they do weird
where
shit.
it's like,
in
hey,
this,
sky's
yeah.
the limit, go.
Yeah, they do some weird stuff, and I think they had fun being able to do a lot of that crazy stuff.
Blood, was it previously on the podcast where we talked about that Deus Ex weird shooter, it was the crystal people running around that you were shooting. What was that thing?
Oh, yeah, that didn't work out.
Yeah, so that's like a bad example of this. What happened? What like I know you haven't checked out Legends yet, but
I mean, I think it's, like on the surface, without knowing the backstory, the full backstory at least. I mean, it feels like the Deus Ex thing was, publisher decides they need to quote unquote add more value to the back of the box, and hey, why don't we make a competitive thing with this?
Right.
Whereas Ghost of Tsushima, Sucker Punch was like, hey, this would be cool.
Mm-hmm. That's what it feels like.
Again, which is why it feels like something the devs like had a blast working on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's super like standalone, weird, its own kind of weird, crazy thing.
And I'd even go so far as to say that like Deus Ex probably looks the way it does because like we don't got time to make a whole bunch of levels for this crap.
Sure, yeah. Mm-hmm. Simplified art style, yeah.
Just put polygons on the wall, okay.
Big bold colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, when did Super Hot come out compared to that mode, I wonder? It's kind of similar vibes. One's red, one's purple. It is time for bets. Next week's bet. Transformers Battlegrounds launches tomorrow, October 23rd. Could be the day you're listening to this podcast, could be 2 days before you're listening to this podcast. But I want to know, by this time next week, where will Optimus Prime rank on Google Trends? There was a little bit of a confusion. We were specifically searching for worldwide on Google Trends last 7 days. According to when we were recording this podcast, before we started, 67 was his rank. And he was at 70 last week. So I'm dipping a little bit, that Optimus Prime. Damiani, what do you think? Where's he going?
I'm going to go with 85.
Oh, okay.
Oh, shit.
Brad Ellis.
77.
Okay. Daniel Bloodworth.
I got wedged in. 82.
82. 68. I got the low.
Oh,
Ooh,
Joe,
got that low.
disrespect.
I'm just saying that's up. I mean, that's
Yeah.
he's higher. I just wanted to
Yeah. I mean, the
come
graph
a
on
little
this,
closer there.
It's Prime, Jones. Come on.
it was just like a wave, man. It was just constant up and down for the past 7 days.
But we will see. Honestly, didn't even research. I mean, I believe he's in Battlegrounds, but I did not confirm.
He has
so.
to be.
But the Transformers boat usually lifts all of the collective brands. Last week's bet, Amnesia Rebirth, launched on October 20th. I was curious, once I begin a new game, how long until I hear someone speak? Daniel Bloodworth bet 8 seconds, Brad Ellis bet 15 seconds, Ben Moore bet 3 seconds, and I undercut Ben at 2 seconds. Here's the thing about this game. This game goes through a little text screen that says like, "Hey, pay attention to stuff that's happening," and then it loads. Then it has a loading bar, and then it actually begins the game. That game begins in darkness, and before darkness ends, you hear a voice. So it's like 0 seconds, basically.
Oh, okay.
There is a moment again before that, but it's like a text thing, and again, there's like another screen that you have to go through beforehand. So it's like there's no time. You could skip that if you want. Like there's no time, set. It's not like watching a video for that first part.
Right.
Undercutting Ben Moore, that gives me the win at 2 seconds. There is a moment is the first line of dialogue during Black, before you see anything else. Edging our scores up, but placing the Jovial Penguins at 14
Wah, wah.
and the Astonished Scorpions at 12. Feeling good about that. Let me tell you about patreon.com/easyallies. It's a party! Woo!
Yeah.
I don't know if you could tell, if you could feel the general energy in all of these 4 collective rooms right now. But right now we are having a party on Patreon. And the thing that's cool, you can be a part of it right now. We're doing a big fun live stream this weekend. But even if you just check this out and you're like, wait a minute, it's like Tuesday and I'm checking out this week's episode, you can still go back and you can check all of that bonus stuff. You can go to our YouTube page. But if you go to Patreon, for just $1, you get a bunch of new exclusive shows. For bigger tiers past that, there are lots of bonuses. You can go back and see the various posts and our schedule to learn what you can get at those respective tiers. Shout out to Daniel Bloodworth, who organized all of that stuff.
There's a featured tag at the top of Patreon that just says Patron Party. You can just click on that. You can see everything.
And our Patreon's getting a nice little shot in the arm. We're having a good month. Thank you to everybody that is supporting us. Especially thank you to our shout out tier. $250 at this tier, tip-top tier, patreon.com/easyallies. We're all going to shout them out in unison. Michael Damiani's going to kick us off. I'm going after Damiani. Blood, my teammate's going after me. And Brad, bringing up the rear. Shout out to Caleb Togi Crawford, El Fanis, and Greg the Dark Knight Kettering.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Nice. I get to close out this podcast. I get to promote an Easy Allies video I'd like to promote. I get the final word on anything I disagreed with, want to reiterate, or just popped into my head. And I get to sign off with my trademark sign-off. Let's get that taken care of right away. I might have known I was going to win when I said that. I might have known. I'm playing that game, waiting in darkness, being like, come on, say something. I am going to recommend for my video that you watch our Halloween stream next week. So we do have the patron party, which is awesome, and it's going on right now, but not a part of the patron party is every Halloween, or at least the group stream before Halloween, we get together, we play spooky games. We're going to be doing an extended group stream, 4 hours? Yes, 5 to 9, instead of our usual...
I think it's 5 hours.
5 hours?
4 to 9.
4 to 9.
Yep.
Instead of our usual 2 hour from 6 to 8, twitch.tv/easyallies. And we're going to be playing lots of fun spooky games, a lot of spooky stuff we have not streamed before. And I love the season, so I'm very much looking forward to that. Cheers!
Can't put no ad on no loading screen because the loading screen's gone. Yeah, man.